Jennifer Lopez is one of the most famous entertainers, and yet there's a strange, persistent question that keeps floating around pop culture. Why do so many people just not like her? Not hate, not cancel, just don't vibe with her. This isn't about talent denial or rewriting history, but public affection isn't just about success, it's about connection, and that's where things get complicated. So let's talk about the real reasons this perception exists. 1. The relatable branding that feels not relatable. One of the biggest criticisms people have is that Jennifer Lopez wants to be seen as relatable, but often misses the mark. She frequently emphasizes her humble beginnings, the Bronx, hard work, hustle, self-made energy, and none of that is false. But the disconnect comes when that messaging collides with reality. Private jets, $20 million home, couture wardrobes, luxury every woman narratives. When someone worth hundreds of millions talks about being just like us, audiences tend to push back, not because they resent success, but because forced relatability feels like branding, not authenticity. People don't need celebrities to pretend they're average. They just want honesty. 2. The reputation for being difficult. This one has followed her for decades. Multiple collaborators, dancers, assistants, industry insiders have quietly echoed the same sentiment over the years. J.Lo can be extremely demanding. Now here's the thing. Demanding isn't a crime. Male artists are praised for it all the time. But perception matters. When those stories stack up without equally visible warmth or humility, the narrative becomes, she thinks she's above everyone. Fair or not, that image sticks. Especially when the public rarely sees vulnerability that counters it. 3. The voice versus the brand problem. Jennifer Lopez is marketed as a music icon, but her singing has always been controversial. Limited vocal range, studio-heavy production. Background vocals often doing the heavy lifting. Again, not illegal. Plenty of pop stars thrive this way. The issue is how strongly the brand insists on greatness. When audiences feel like they're being told someone is legendary rather than shown why, resistance grows. People don't like being sold excellence. They like discovering it. And for some listeners, J.Lo's music feels more like a product than a passion. 4. The acting career that never fully lands. Jennifer Lopez has delivered good performances. Selena, Out of Sight, Hustlers prove that. But consistency matters. For every solid role, there are several forgettable or critically panned ones. Yet the industry has continued positioning her as a prestige actress. That gap between how Hollywood presents her and how audiences receive her creates friction. It feels inflated. Earned once but not maintained. People don't dislike her acting. They dislike the insistence that it's always elite. 5. The relationship carousel. This is a big one. Jennifer Lopez's love life is incredibly public. Highly visible relationships, fast engagements, emotional interviews, grand romantic narratives, or at first it was captivating. Over time it started to feel performative. When every relationship becomes a headline, an album concept, a movie inspiration, and a public rebirth, audiences grow skeptical. It begins to feel like romance as branding rather than real intimacy. And when things fall apart, repeatedly, people stop investing emotionally, not out of cruelty, out of exhaustion. 6. The self-celebration. Overload confidence is great. Self-love is healthy. But Jennifer Lopez often crosses into constant self-mythologizing. Documentaries about herself, movies inspired by her love life, songs about her greatness, public narratives framing herself as misunderstood brilliance. At a certain point, audiences feel like they're being asked to applaud endlessly without being invited into anything deeper. People connect more with stars who laugh at themselves, acknowledge flaws, share failure without gloss, and J.Lo rarely does that publicly. 7. It's not hate, it's emotional distance. This is the most important part. Most people don't actively dislike Jennifer Lopez, they're just not emotionally attached. She feels polished instead of personal, controlled instead of candid, curated instead of messy, and messiness is where relatability lives. Ironically, she's shared everything, but revealed very little. 8. Why she still wins. Anyway, despite all of this, Jennifer Lopez continues to succeed. Why? Because she's a relentless worker, a master brand strategist, a cultural figure who understands spectacle. She doesn't need universal approval. She's built an empire on visibility, consistency, and sheer willpower. People may not like her, but they respect the grind, and honestly, that might be enough.